What is that noise? Welcome everyone, Adam the Woo here as April 2020 has reared its head. It is finally time. I have done these in the past, but it has been a heck of a lengthy time frame since I have done a Q&A, a question and an answer. Question, not only in person when people see me out and about, but also comment sections, social media. Those are the questions, and I will provide quite a few answers. A little disclaimer, these are my opinions, my thoughts, and the way I live my life, and the way things work for me, the way my gears turn, and just kind of how things happen and how I feel about things currently. In a year or two from now, I might look back on this and things would have changed. There are plenty of other content creators out there that do what I do, so those questions kind of affiliated with that subject matter. Everyone has their own way of doing things. I have mine, others have theirs. This is all about me. I'm inviting you to join me. Shall you? Do I enjoy and encourage being approached in public? Whether it being out and about or at theme parks, etc., etc. The answer, 100% is yes. If you see me out and about, feel free to say hello and have a conversation. I enjoy meeting people. 9 times out of 10, I probably will have a camera in my hand, pointing it at something, framing up the shot correctly, narrating it. Once I am done doing that, by all means, say hello, give a little wave, give a little hello, Adam the Woo. That seems to be a common practice, as well as a good percentage of people. The first statement they say is, I did not realize how tall you were. I am 6'3". I am not a giant by any means, but I am 6'3". I would say the most common phrase, statement that anyone ever says when they meet me in person is that one. Definitely. Another very commonly asked question is, do I still have my RV? Is Large Marge still in my possession, which was the name of my motorhome? The answer is no. It's been sold for over a year now. Mostly now I just get rental cars and travel that way. Kind of works out the same price-wise on gas, finding a place to park it. I also own a vehicle. I mean, it's parked back in California, but when I travel, I usually rent cars. While the idea of an RV looked good on paper and is something I always aspired to have, it's kind of in the back of my mind for years, once I did it, I realized it really didn't make sense for me. Not saying down the road I will not buy another one, but if I did, it would be a smaller version. It would be once I owned a home and had property to park it on and only took it out on certain occasions. It would not be my only residence and my only mode of transportation. If that makes any sense. It just, for me, it didn't really work out the way I thought it would, because I am a go, 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 go kind of guy, and using it as a daily driving vehicle, it's hard for me to stay put for a long period of time. That's the best way I can describe it. Where do I currently reside and live? No, it's not here in Florida, which is where I am at the moment. It's in Orange County, California, and I have no plans on leaving anytime soon. I've gone many years where I was sleeping in a van, and then of course I had the motorhome. It is nice to have a few of my personal items and a few things that aren't necessarily those that you need, but just a few items to make you feel the comfort of home, and those are stationed out there. There are some ideas rummaging around in my head where I want to eventually get a homestead, buy a house, and that is ever changing. I'm always constantly thinking and looking forward to that day. But for now, at least for the next year or two. Just just thinking out loud. I'm not going anywhere, staying out in California. This is a nice tie-in for the next one. Will I ever go back to doing a lot of abandoned locations, since this structure was the spot of my first adventure video? The answer is no. I will not be doing abandoned videos anymore. I've just kind of moved on from that. A lot of legal issues have kind of thwarted and swayed my thought process. Obviously something that is open, this open and accessible, then yes, I'll walk up and show the history of it, but sneaking into places, I'm gonna leave that for the others. My content has changed quite a bit since those days, in all honesty, which also leads me into the next, called a segue, if you will, are certain places that I have been told I am not allowed to go into, been overturned. The answer is some have, some haven't. Looking back on my past, I don't want to use the word regrets, but there are decisions that I made that I would no longer make in my older, semi-wiser years. I am not wise, but I'm a little smarter than I used to be. They say hindsight is 20/20. And sometimes you just have to deal with consequences. Sometimes they get overturned. You can move on with things, and other times they don't. You just gotta carry on. I would hope the way I approach things, in the last year or two, the way I present my videos is an impression of how things will continue and how I am now. Maybe that is evident in the format. Why do I not fly the drone, which I named the Majestic, anymore? Well, the reason is laws and policies have changed. And I just felt like the time was nearing. Oh, speaking of, there's a bird flying in the air. That's not my drone. I just didn't want to have a video pulled down or deleted, because you never know where you can fly those things. And it really didn't add to the storyline of what I was trying to present, so I just stopped using it. Am I as G-rated as I appear in these videos? I don't really know if I would say that is the proper rating. You could say maybe PG, sometimes even PG-13. I slip a little bit of humor in there that maybe some of an older persuasion would get that younger would not. However, I am an adult. Occasionally a little profanity will slip out when I am out and about. However, that is not a common occurrence. My dad was a minister, my mom a preacher's wife, and they still to this day never curse. So that has had an effect on me. Not saying I never do, because sometimes, it seeps in a slip of the tongue, but all in all, I'm kind of how I am in the videos. Maybe I tone it down just a notch, but what you see is what you get, to some degree. Everyone has to put a little bit of effort into their content, so there is that. But I'm just me. At least I think I am. But I also listen to a lot of punk rock, a little bit of metal, watch rated R flicks, and love horror films. So take that as you will. Would I ever pick up the bass guitar again, join or start another band? Maybe. Who knows what the future holds? Every once in a while I think about, I should go buy a brand new instrument of that persuasion, pick it up, take the fingers out, start plucking away once again. And I also think about, maybe I should put the word out and join an already existing band and just do a little tour, a little couple weeks on the road, or maybe even get a group of others and start a new project. That's always in the back of my mind. It might happen, it might not happen. I used to play in a few bands, a band called Alias Clark here in Florida, a band called The New Threat, TNT, originally called 10 New Toes, and then I joined the band Guttermouth, Southern California punk band, and did a few years and a few tours with them. Will I ever bring the theme song back that I had quite some time ago? Adam the Woo goes on adventures for you. He don't even ask your mom? Nope, not bringing that song back. In fact, I have never used it on this channel, the TheDailyWoo channel, ever. It was always on the Adam the Woo original channel. Plenty of videos still over there. It's fun to look back on those days. Not saying I will never upload again over on that particular channel. However, most of the interaction and where I spend my time and publish things is here on this one, as well as anything I can film in one day from the time the sun comes up in that period before darkness, or even a 24-hour period, and I can edit and upload it. I'll put it here on the TheDailyWoo. Long projects like the filming locations that go cross country that take me a week or two, that is obviously not a daily video, and they will go up over on the Adam the Woo channel. So at some point I'll do one of those again. At some point. Do I have any plans to start incorporating overseas travel into the constant uploads? The answer is no. No plans to do that. Not saying I won't at some point travel overseas, but it will not be a heavy rotation of videos here. Certainly there are some locations in other countries I would like to see with my own eyes. But I think I have a pretty good thing going here. The Americana that I know and love, there's so much still to document, still to see, that is ever changing, that I have my sights on for cross-country trips. And I'm gonna stick with that, if that makes sense. Why do I not do live streams anymore? I just don't. I prefer one of those two words, this format, a little bit better. And in all honesty, I feel overwhelmed with the live streams when it comes to Q&As. I kind of like this. I have time to think about the answers, peruse through the ones I feel like are important and most want to know. And the super chats make me feel a little uncomfortable as well. Now I know it is a huge way for those who watch content creators to support, and I understand that, but you will probably notice I rarely will mention the Patreon, which I have not deleted. It's still there. It's probably been over a year since I even subtly hinted at that or mentioned the t-shirts that I have for sale. I don't even put links to those in the description box anymore. I just kind of feel like if you find it, it's there and it's good. Those who know, know. But I am truly thankful to be making a living doing what I'm doing just by putting videos out there into the world. I'm surviving. That's kind of my thought on it. I've been back and forth, even way back in the day when I considered all those platforms that I am referring to. It always, for me, it just I wasn't comfortable, completely comfortable with it. I wanted it to be more about the videos. Because when I started, I didn't really push those agendas. So they're there. They're there. I should probably, honestly, I should maybe hint at them a little bit more. But that's my feeling on it. Even asking to subscribe and give it a big thumbs up, I leave to the end. I just try to make it not really crammed in with the rest of everything. I haven't done a meetup in quite some time and get asked often, will you do more meetups? And I gotta figure a way to make them where they just work. I always feel bad for anyone who is waiting a lengthy amount of time throughout the course of a day, and the amount of, the amount of interaction and time to say hello to everyone is so limited that I haven't done one in, gosh, probably a couple of years for that reason, because it is very overwhelming, not only for me, but for everyone that shows up and waits that incredible amount of time. There has to be a better way than how I have done it. I'm not opposed to it, but there has to be a good system in place. And I don't want to charge ever, nor can you do them at theme parks. It's not allowed. It's policy on property. But if you see me out and about anywhere, it can't be an organized deal, but if you see me out and about, please say hello. I encourage it. Why did I stop drinking? Why don't I drink? I drank a little while for a very short time frame. Early 2000s. Have not done so since 2005. Mostly when I started playing music in 2002, 2003. It was a way for me to just feel a little more comfortable. My other bandmates did so. So I said, heck it, I never really drank, ever, when I was growing up until that time period. And I just felt like it kind of made you a little more freeing up on stage. I had a lot of anxiety when it came to being in front of, crowds, playing in front of people, and that helped. Once I got over that, I realized, for me, I didn't really crave it. I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't really like the way it made me feel. So to this day, it is not something that I partake in or do. A lot of other people see things differently, and that is what they do. I have my way, and it's very interesting that I am never tempted. I never think about it. It never gets into my head ever to do so. It's just out there. And on an additional side note, I have not ever smoked anything except for maybe a couple packs of cigarettes when I was 18 to try to be cool around my coworkers and friends. But don't do anything else either, except eat poorly and drink some soda. Those are my vices. What would I be doing if I was not on YouTube doing what I'm doing now? Most likely I would be working at a grocery store. I worked retail for the 21 years, working a 9 to 5, well, not 9 to 5, I did work a lot of overnights, but punching a clock. That's what I did. Stocking shelves, throwing feed at a feed store, but a lot of grocery experience. I also worked in an office supply store. So it would be in retail. I would probably be, cashier or some sort of a supervisor, or who knows, a manager of some sort, stocking things, dairy associate, something of that nature. Who knows? That is really the only type of job description and experience I have, other than just holding a camera and showing things. That's it. Okay, there is one other thing. I can play bass guitar, which I mentioned a moment ago. So I might be in a band, touring. So there's that. What have I learned by doing this and traveling so much? I have learned that people are all the same, but yet a little different in their own ways. And I've become a lot more open-minded to people's beliefs, the way they live life, and letting everyone just do their own thing. I'm a lot more open-minded than I used to be, based on those facts. Everyone has their lives to live. Do I believe in ghosts? No, I do not. However, I do not believe in ghosts. The answer is, I have no idea if they exist. I have personally never had an experience that I have seen that could happen. For now, it's not something I think about. When I go into a spot, it doesn't sink into my brain. Is there any activity here? Are there ghosts here? Now, I do love ghost stories, and I do love the Haunted Mansion and all things Halloween, but I never shift my thought process when I go to a location. Is this place haunted? I just don't think that way. What was that? Do I appear on podcasts and interviews on a regular basis? The answer is negative. When it comes to email, direct messages, any sort of business contact, that is the most asked question above all. And I feel like it's just something, if it's something I want to say or something I want to present, it just makes more sense for me to say it. At least at this current time frame, I'm not doing any podcasts. I also don't promote anything. I don't have any sponsors. There's no underlying agenda to anything that ever rears its head in anything you see here. It's just all what I enjoy and what I do. Why don't I try to get on more media lists for events? That's another topic that is always kind of weighs heavy on my mind. I've always kind of had that punk rock mentality, the everyman. What's it like to line up for an event, to be in with the masses, deep in the trenches? And I like presenting things that way. And rarely, I would say never, but it is occasionally the media thing will slip in there, mostly around the Halloween season. And the reason I kind of bend my morals on that is because sometimes haunted houses walkthroughs are not accessible to film unless you are given those credentials. Now, that being said, when it comes to normal conventions, normal events that are taking place in theme parks, if I can just pay my own way and go in and see things without being told, you can't film this, if it is filmable as a normal pedestrian and guest, me personally, would rather not be on a media list. That's just my own, that's just the way I think. Except for haunt season. Because I want to go through the mazes and film. That's a big one. Would I ever get married and contemplate having kids? Yes. Just got to find the right person who could, that not only I could meld with, but also could deal with me. I'm an extreme workaholic. Now I know what you're thinking. Filming yourself and doing videos is not work. And I would agree with you on some aspects of that, but I take it to the next level. Anyone can tell you that has hung around me while I am doing this knows how stressed out I get about every frame, every shot, how the audio is, how it looks. It is a big part of me. Add the traveling in, add the constant thinking about what I'm going to do next in, and that is a workload in itself. Even though I'm not punching a clock, it takes a lot out of me, and certainly whoever I am with. That's a guarantee. What do I use to record on? What do I edit on? What is my upload schedule like? And that entire process all adequately need to be answered. Currently, this is being recorded on a Canon G7X Mark II, which is really good in low light. Has a few audio issues that you have to kind of work around, but all in all, a decent camera. I also have a Canon 70D, which I have not used in quite some time. It's a DSLR. Sometimes I will use my iPhone to record in certain scenarios. And I also have a mirrorless Canon A6 that I will sometimes break out and use. The majority are the G7X, especially for theme park content, low light stuff, and that particular era. Editing, I always use my iPhone, iMovie. I have an SD card that I pull out of the bottom of this and other cameras, dump it into a converter that puts it in my camera roll on the phone, and I just sit there and I edit. I've done that for years. I use iMovie on my phone, and then I upload from my phone. Pretty convenient. And that's gonna do it for today. I've already said what needed to be said. Usually at the end, I've said it around the midway point of this. No need to repeat myself. I'll see you in the next video. The vlog is over.